Imagine that, being able to live as one. This only happens when we are able to recognize each other as a part of the one big whole of humanity and life. How many know within your being that you are connected to everything? You are connected to everything. You're breathing the same air. I wish I could tell it to you like Deepak Chopra told a group of us one time when he laid it all out in all the scientific terms, and he weirded folks out when he said, listen, I promise you, Jesus Christ has already been inside of you literally. He said the 88% of the dust that we experience in our life is dead human skin cells. And everybody was like, ugh. And he said, so you have breathed in the body of Jesus Christ. You have breathed in the body of Siddhartha Gautama. You have breathed in the body of Saint Teresa. You have breathed in all of the air. You are connected literally and biologically to all of life. This doesn't get talked about much in religion because I'm going to say something here that is not good for business. Got me fired from religion. That was the best firing I've ever experienced in my life. At first I was like, oh, and then I went, yes! Religion, the purpose of religion is separation. Man, it got quiet in here. Its entire purpose is separation. When you formulate a religion around a particular teaching, even if you really believe it a lot, it still requires for you to be in and somebody else to be out so that you can be in. Religion is not a creation of God. It's a creation of human beings trying to manage God. Yeah. So it's really cool when we start to realize that. There's such a freedom that comes with it. And it was the road manager for AC/DC. I'm on a highway to... Y'all remember? Yeah. It was their road manager that was quoted to say, God is the name of the blanket we throw over the mystery to try to give it shape. That's delicious. God is the name of the blanket we throw over the mystery to try to give it shape. Because it is the mystery, and that is the beautiful essence of what we're experiencing. Those little, what we call God bumps that you experience, you know, when there's a song that touches your soul, the tears that come down your cheek as a result of something that touches your heart deeply, those experiences that you have, those moments of just, rapture that you experience, that is life happening and sizzling. And it's a part of you, it's in you as you. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's not my subject for today, so that was the introduction. Stay on task, John. I hear my mom saying that, and my school teachers, all of them. Keys to the Kingdom. What's that squirrel? No, it's Keys to the Kingdom and Queendom. This is part 5. Keys to the Kingdom and Queendom is the series that we've been in, and many of you have been a part of the book study, and so you've studied the chapter that was dealing with building a new awareness. And I wanted to sit with that this week and sort of see how it felt within my soul. But real quick, we'll recap where we've been so far, because we've been in this series really now for the 5th part, and that was because I wanted to sort of set the table before we got into the book study. And I want to recap that the first key that we looked at was conscious commitment, making a decision, being committed to the principle, not just saying it, not just feeling a God bump or goosebump when I say it, but actually acting on it. There's something about taking action on what you say you believe that causes the universe to surround it and inject it with all of the energy of creation that's necessary to bring it to fruition. So our first key was conscious commitment. Our second one was to build a personal vision. And in that, we dug into realizing that vision is seeing an image, but visualization is creating a mental image. It is a little different. And so the vision that you're creating for your life, go into the theater of your mind and look up on the screen of your imagination and project the life that you want into that space. Allow yourself to feel yourself engaged with it. Be engaged in how it feels, what it smells like, what it looks like, even what it tastes like, what it sounds like. Bring your senses into that space and experience that vision while you're in the sanctuary, the secret place of the Most High that is within you. And from that space, you can begin to then manifest it into material reality. And so we looked at vision and what that might mean to us. It's essentially drawing up the blueprint for your life. You are the general contractor of your life. So what is it that you're building? Because you're the one with the power to write up the blueprints. Anybody in here do any architect work? Anybody been a part of architect work? It can be tedious sometimes. I was going to say Aaron, probably over there, is a general contractor and a builder for many years. You know what that's like, that if you're, the larger the building, the more you're going to have to get engaged with the blueprint and really get into the details. And I think that's very important for us. A lot of times we come to church, we come to spiritual community, we go to temples, synagogue, whatever your expression is, and we hear what's being said, we experience it in that space, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, whenever it is that you go, and the feeling is nice, but it's almost like it's become a drug for us. We go get a fix for the week, and then we just kind of move back out in the world, and we don't actually put feet on to that vision to create it and make it a reality. So we talked about practicing that vision so that you could make it practical. And this week we're looking at building a new awareness. One of my favorite spiritual words is the word awareness. And let me say, abundance is all around us. We are just so often not aware of it. We've been hypnotized into believing that doing life the way we do life is the way we have to do life. But I want you to make a declaration right now, if you will, with your own authority, of your own mouth. Life doesn't have to be the way I was told it had to be. I'm breaking free. I'm going to start living life the way I want to live life. And see, when we say that stuff, there's a little voice that jumps up in your head and says, yeah, but we've talked about that. I'm going to do a whole series on get your big butt out of the way. Because that's one of the reasons that we often don't follow through with what it is we have said we believe, because we get those limited beliefs that start to come in. And that's really what this is about this week. It's building a new awareness, building a new consciousness. The word consciousness is from the original word conscientiae, which means to do with knowledge and with understanding. And so when we talk about doing this life, building a new consciousness, we're literally talking about formulating a new way of being and showing up. And that's why it becomes a little daunting for us, because we are habitual creatures. We are creatures of habit. And the reason that your brain is so good at learning habits is because, well, you want it to be. Because when I decided to leave that chair and walk this way, it was a good thing my brain didn't forget how to walk. Right? The problem with this, the only issue with this, is that the brain, when it's already trained, thinks that that's the truth. It thinks that that is the ultimate. It thinks that belief is truth. But I want to make a statement here that might really kind of mess with you, sort of rub against the grain. All of your beliefs, all of my beliefs are limited. All of them. Because every belief that I have formulated up to this point does not account for what's happening at the present moment or what may happen in the next moment. All of my beliefs are based in what has already been experienced and believed before now. So if you will, shout out with me, I'm letting go and I'm living life beyond belief. See, so many of us have been ingrained and conditioned to think that things have to be a certain way, and they do not. You can break free. So I wrote it down this way. An abundance mindset is one that rises above the fear, above the scarcity, and that scarcity and fear often stems from circumstances we have experienced in the past or external circumstances we currently see in the world. Instead of needing external signs to believe in the support and the provision of the universe, its trust is the true source of abundance. It's trusting the true source of abundance that shifts our consciousness. This awareness, this consciousness understands that when we have faith in the inner provision, we can manifest that provision, that vision, into reality. We are literally building a new way of being and doing life. The challenge isn't getting abundance to flow. The challenge is becoming aware that it's already flowing and accepting it flowing into my life. Repeat this after me. I accept all of the goodness that God has for me. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow. Why are you getting us to talk, man? What's the deal? Aren't you paid to do that? You are the prophet of your own life, and if you want to profit in the business of your life, you need to take authority over your own life, and you do it by making a declaration as a prophetic, powerful word over your own life. Your ears need to hear your ears need to hear your voice declaring what it is you want in your life. I came out of meditation, I believe it was Wednesday. And this struck a chord with me that I can't explain. It became so real to me coming out of this meditation that it has stuck with me all of the rest of this week. And that is this: the boundary between will be and already is thinner than we've been taught to believe. There is a thin veil between will be and already is. And the way that we rip the veil in two, oh man, from top to bottom, is to cry out, "It is finished." Let me explain. Any of you who were raised in church, in Christian church, you know we're coming up on the Easter season, and one of the things that they tended to do in the Christian church when I was growing up was that they would kill Jesus again in public. I mean, not literal Jesus, Yeshua ben Joseph, but they would have these passion plays and crucifixions. Y'all know what I'm talking about? This may be hard for some of y'all to believe because I don't have any hair at the moment, and I had red hair back then. I have a red head, but no red hair anymore. But years ago, about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the church that I attended, the guy who played the part of Jesus in our Easter play, he was a construction worker, and he fell off of the side of a house, and he shattered his bottom of his foot and his ankle, so he couldn't stand up on the cross. Well, I was the one who sang the opening song, sang the middle song, sang a song toward the end of the service, and then sang the song at the end. And I was such a strange kid that I memorized everybody's lines. So I knew the whole script. I definitely knew Jesus' script because I was memorizing scripture before I was out of the womb. My mom's, I can imagine her with a 90-pound Schofield Reference Red Letter Edition King James Bible sitting right up on top of her belly, yelling into her, "Get into my belly," yelling scriptures at me. Did you get that reference? Anyway, I threw that Austin Powers thing in there sideways. That was a little odd, it was strange, I admit it. I knew all of the lines, and I was like 17 years old, so I was right at 6 foot tall, and I was, I worked out back then, and so I started doing the practices because he felt like that leading up to this, because you got to understand, we did like 2 full weekends of this Easter play. And he thought he might be better in time for that. But we got about 3 weeks out, and so I was doing his part, just reading the lines, and somebody goes, "Well, you're going to have to be Jesus." And in this Easter play, Jesus, the part hung on the cross for 45 minutes. They put him up and did a concert while Jesus is on the cross. I had not done that part. I knew the lines, but I hadn't done that part. So when I tell you I have literally been crucified by the Christian church, it happened multiple years, multiple weekends in a row. But there's something that happens at the end of the crucifixion story, and some of you will remember this, and that is that one of the writers of the Synoptic Gospels said that when Jesus cried out, "It is finished," that the veil that was over the Holy of Holies was rent in two from top to bottom. Now, we used to preach it that the reason that it was rent in two from top to bottom, which means torn in two, that's good Elizabethan English, rent. It was torn in two from top to bottom was because God did it to open up the Holy of Holies, which back then only the priests could go into. And the point of it was, the metaphor in it was, Jesus said the work is finished, and as a result, the Holy of Holies was opened up so that holy could flow out of the space and flow back into the space. And it also exposed that this was a game. It was a corporation the whole time. Here's what I came to say to us. When you make the declaration in your Christ consciousness that it is finished, that the abundance, the prosperity, the health, the wealth, the well-being, your healing has already been done for you, when you cry out, "It is finished," because it's a declaration and an affirmation, then that veil that is thin is rent in two so that you can see it. I go back to the boundary between will be and already is thinner. It's a thinner veil than any of us were taught. And it just requires us to declare, "It is finished." Now, most of us think that when we set a vision in place and we're manifesting, that we have to work for it. The problem with working for it is it's an admission that it's not done. Can I get a witness from somebody? I'm trying so hard to manifest. I'm trying so hard to manifest. Every part of your body is tensed up. Even the piece of skin in the back of your throat goes, I'm trying my hardest to make this come to pass. And here's what happens. When we try to manifest out of desperation, we'll end up with what I call manifestation procrastination. Procrastination means delay or postponement. And so when we're striving and we're trying our best to make it come to be, we're literally pushing it away. And I'm encouraging you to stop doing any manifestation out of desperation, because that will cause manifestation procrastination. It'll postpone it. Be with the river and let it move you forward. This is what it means to surrender to the Tao, to surrender to God, to surrender to the peace. When you surrender to it, you flow with it. This is why I'll say to us, there is no door for you to open. Be the opening. Can we hear that? Because so many times we stand in front of doors, we knock, we try to turn the knob, we try to push it open, and it feels like it's locked to us. That's because we weren't meant to open a door. We were meant to be the opening. You were meant to be the portal. You were meant to be the flow. In fact, say that. I am the opening for divine presence to be in my world. It flows to me, for me, through me, and as me. Right here, right now. Man, that's good stuff. You guys, y'all better watch out. Y'all gonna be preaching. Y'all's turn to preach. So we're building a new awareness. I'll move through this quickly. Somebody say, I appreciate that. Reverend Carolyn, if you're watching from Ocala. Number one, to start building a new awareness, I'm gonna need to challenge my BS. I love, this is a Michael Beckwith thing. I wish I could say it was mine. I mean, I did tell him that the first 3 times I talk about this, I'm going to give you credit. But on the 5th time, I'm gonna say I was fasting and meditating for 40 days. And yea, the angel of the Lord appeared unto me and told me that BS was belief system. Anyway, Dr. Michael Beckwith has said this so many times, and I love it. In order for you to build this awareness, you're going to need to challenge your BS and change your BS. And BS, of course, stands for belief system. I'll go back to what I said a moment ago. Every belief I have currently, every belief you have currently is limited. And so knowing that, being aware of that, is already, half the battle is done when you're already aware that the beliefs that I currently hold are limited and in some ways may be limiting me. And I'm allowing the truth to engage in an inquiry about those beliefs, and I'm willing to face my BS so that I can move forward. And here's one of the ways we do it. By identifying, every time you see a limited belief arise, identify it. We have this thing that we do in our leadership meeting, and it comes through the pathway of EOS, and it is IDS. It's identify, discuss, solve. So this is the way I wrote this for us today. Identify that belief that is limited, clarify where it is limited, what the parameters are on it, and then rectify it. And the word rectify means to put right or to make correct. So identify where those limited beliefs are, get real clear about what it is, maybe even where it came from, and then rectify it. Start to create it. Start to create something different. Start to correct that behavior. If you know that it's limiting you, then bust out of it. You do not have to remain a prisoner to your mind. You do not have to remain a prisoner to your conditioning. You can see it for what it is, call it out in your own life, and then correct that belief. One of the ways that I've done that from my life is that, and this may sound just kind of goofy to some, and that's okay for you, it affected me. And that was, I used to say, man, about 3 or 4 times a year, I get an upper respiratory infection from allergies. I used to just say that. It was like I just forecasted it. And people will say, now, you're starting to get on that name it, claim it stuff now. Not everything I say is going to bring it about. Hey, listen, let me tell you, words are powerful, and they're seeds. And I used to say that was 2 or 3 times a year. And as a singer, I got to tell you, especially when I was doing it as a career, that was not good news. It was not good news to have a string of shows and you couldn't do them because you had an infection that affected your vocal cords. But I kept saying it 2 or 3 times a year. It just happens. About 2 or 3 times a year, I get sick. And I have changed that in my life because that was a limiting belief. And now I will say it is a rare occasion, and in fact, I've gone on to say, I don't get sick. Sickness doesn't belong in my life. I don't get sick. And some people will say, well, now that's just spiritual bypassing. Let me tell you, if you'll start doing that, what happens is that you actually put the universe in gear. You engage it to start to reveal to you things that can build up your immune system and build up your mental health, because most of us, we're most diseased by our minds more than our bodies anyway. Seriously, now, this doesn't mean that there may not be challenges that approach my life. I may not come in contact with some kind of a thing. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that when it happens that I'm going to deny that it's there. But I'm saying I decided to change that limiting belief. I'll tell you something else that I was taught, that all ministers are essentially poor. Because you're a servant, you're supposed to be poor. I turned that right around. Because I'm going to tell y'all right now, I tried poor. It sucks. Excuse me. We're in church. It vacuums. I turned that around because I don't believe that. I was also taught that people who have ADD and people who have learning disabilities, which I was tagged with in my youth, will rarely ever be successful. I turned that right around because I refuse to believe that I'm limited to a diagnosis. I may have a diagnosis, but the prognosis is up to me. Now, number 2, is to start examining. If I'm building a new awareness, examine the anatomy of my limited beliefs. And that was in the book study. You saw the examining the anatomy of my beliefs. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, speech, action. I start looking at the anatomy of how these things get built up in my life. It starts with a thought. It moves to a feeling. That creates an emotion. That emotion creates a commotion, which brings it to my speech, and then my actions start to follow suit. If I will walk it all the way back from my actions to my speech, back to the emotions, the feelings, and ultimately to the thought, where the thought arrived, I can cut it off right there and start injecting new thoughts into my life. We call this a new thought movement. When's the last time you had one? Because if you think the same thoughts tomorrow that you thought today, you will produce the same experiences, because it won't be what happened to you. It'll be what you believe about what happened to you that will matter the most in your life. Life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you. Somebody say, life is happening for me. Not to me, for me. And so I examine those different beliefs. And I realize that all of my limited beliefs, in fact, all of my beliefs, are unconscious. They're not even in the conscious mind, they're unconscious. 95% of what you'll do today is completely and totally autopilot. I've done this with you before, but there's some guests here with us. And so I'll share this with our guests. How many breaths have you taken since you woke up? A lot. I like that. That's the way to answer that. A lot, because you don't know. Why am I pointing that out? Because you're not doing it. It's being done unconsciously. How many times has your heart beat? How much blood has moved through the veins and back through the heart and then back through the veins? This is all being done for you, and it is being done unconsciously. Our judgments, our prejudice, our isms, all are built in the unconscious mind. And most of us are not conscious enough to be aware of that so that we can fix that. But this is why we should examine the anatomy of our limited beliefs and start to fix what is going on in the unconscious mind. 5% of what you'll do today is in your cognitive awareness or in your conscious state. 95% is unconscious. Now, how do I influence? Through self-hypnosis, through affirmation, through affirming prayer, life visioning, meditation. When those limited beliefs crop up, ask them the question, is this true? Is this true? Because the mind will present to you multiple stories about a situation, and they're all going to be based on what the mind thinks you believe. Always ask, is it true? Especially when it's a limited thought, is it true? The mind's going to scramble around trying to find information and data, and if it can't produce that, it'll try to produce manifestation evidence to make you believe that that's true. But you can call it out every single time, and you can begin to take over your life. Take charge of your life by living consciously. That's really what spirituality is. Spirituality is us being able to transcend the mind so that we can begin to live from a higher conscious awareness. And that's what we're doing. We're examining the anatomy of limited beliefs. And number 3, almost done. I was wondering. This is how we build a new awareness, by breaking free from limited beliefs. This is going to require intentional attention to the beliefs you currently have. Because see, if I say to any of you in this space, in fact, I'll ask you this, do you believe that you were meant to live a great life? All 3 of us. I love that. Do you, some of us are consciously don't believe it. So do you believe that you were meant to live a great life? As soon as you say yes, I'm telling you right now that somebody in this space that said yes, there's a yeah but that came up. As soon as you thought about the question, am I meant to live a great life? I'm going to say yes consciously, and unconsciously there's a storyteller. just kind of crawls up out of there and goes, hey, you remember that thing you came here today to pray about? You remember that? You remember that bank account issue? Hey, you remember that job situation? Have you seen the stock market? There's that voice that comes up and says, yes, but do you remember that time? You understand you've been divorced more than once. What's so great about that? Are you sure you meant to live a great life? There's that storyteller that crops up in there as soon as you say yes to it. If I'm lying, I'm frying, and I don't feel any heat. All right? I'm telling you, all of us in here have that storyteller. That's the limited belief, and that's what I mean. Locate it, see it, and break free from it, because when you said yes to living a life of greatness, it's going to fight against it because it's afraid of that. It doesn't know how to be great yet. You're going to need to train that child called your unconscious mind to accept greatness. But you can. I'll tell you what, look, let me, if I can for just a moment, for me personally, all I want to do is learn how to think like God thinks, act like God acts, and speak like God speaks. That's really all I want to do. My whole life, that's just that. That's what I want to think like God thinks, I want to act like God acts, and I want to speak like God speaks. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think God would go, man, I wonder what the Dow Jones is doing today. Now, I'm not making fun, but to a degree, I'm saying, listen, we put so much of our trust in the systems. If we're going to learn to think like God thinks, we're going to need to stop limiting ourselves to the systems of our world. Side note, I believe I'm talking to a group of people who realize we have a broken system already. It's already broken. The visualization I had of that, like in my imagination, I saw somebody in there and they're pushing on the chest, and the main doctor's already said, I need to call it. And they're like, no. And the main doctor said, are you gonna do this for the next 60 years? Who's gonna do it when you can't do it anymore? That's what we've been propping up in our world systems. It's a lie, it's artificial. That's why we're creating artificial intelligence. Because we've checked out of our original intelligence. And we need something artificial to come along and support the story that has kept us all limited. I love the land called the United States. I love the people in it. But I gotta tell you something, y'all. This system is broken, and it's been keeping us limited for far too long. It's time for us to wake up and renew it. We gotta fix it. Let's stop fighting for the status quo. That's what I hear people doing. When I see, man, when the midterms come up, if we can just vote in Democrats, or we can vote in some more Republicans, or if we can just get, folks, that is limited belief. Come on, I know this gets touchy for some. I understand that. But all that's been revealed to us over this last several years is that this system is unfair. It's unequal. It is not right. And we've been hypnotized to believe that it's just okay. And if we can just make it for another 4 years, or if we can just get to another 6 years, boy, if their superstar would rise up out of Congress or somebody would rise up out of Senate, we keep looking for some great Savior to save us instead of calling forth the greatness that we are individually as divine beings. Okay, back to the notes. If we're going to build a new awareness, we're going to build a new consciousness, it's going to require that we do a little bit of that heart work in challenging our BS, examining the anatomy of our limited beliefs, and breaking free from the limited beliefs. I was at the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum this last week. I went to visit my cousin. Terry Lipsey Scott is the director. All Scotts are cousins. We're all kin to each other. I told her, I said, I'm that redheaded step cousin of yours. You just got to deal with it. But I went and visited her so that I could see this sculpture of Harriet Tubman that's in their garden. If you have not been, I encourage you to please consider going. But the title of the sculpture, or the caption of the sculpture, is Beacon of Hope. And when I stood there right before the sculpture, I just became so overwhelmed with emotion. Even before I saw the detail, we walked through the garden and we're chatting, and when we get to it, I just paused. And there she is in her power, and the sculptor that made the sculpture, so detailed that even the calluses on her hands are detailed, of this woman who was enslaved and then led the Underground Railroad. And the way the sculpture is made, she is in movement, and she's holding this hand up. She's reaching back with this hand. This hand has within it a key. This hand has the North Star. And beneath her tattered garment, at her feet, are broken chains. And she's standing on them. And as I looked at those broken chains, and I saw the key in her hand, it occurred to me that she dealt with physical enslavement of the African people, who were literally brought here from their land to work for white people. And she did the work of helping to free them. But something happened to me, Iman, when I reached up and I touched her hand with the key in it. And I saw the shackles below. And I had this realization. I want to follow in her footsteps. And here's what I want to see at my feet when I leave this world: the shackles of mental bondage at my feet. Because you can lock up the body, but when the mind is locked up, you're sure enough in prison. And my friends, we have a calling, a mandate to declare freedom to this world. Freedom to this world. I'm going to leave it there. I had a few more things that were on the notes, but Carrie said that she'll make the blog that I normally put up on Mondays on Facebook, she'll make that available in our weekly connection. So if you want to see some of those other things, it's just my commentary on the 7 spiritual truths of abundance. There's many more than that, but this is just our attempt at trying to explain what we think abundance may be. Friends, I cannot tell you why I feel this so strongly in my being, but I just know we are here in this time period for a purpose that I firmly believe for the next several generations, they will write about us and the stand we decided to take to create a more equitable, equal, inclusive, and loving world that was free from the bondage and somebody asked me, does that scare you? And I said, no, it excites me. I'm willing to give my life for it. I believe, Amy, I believe with all my heart that the reason I was raised the way I was raised and taught the way I was taught was so that that pressure would be in my life to push me in to a higher way of being and question it all. And now I'm at peace with it all. And every character in the scenes of the play of my life, at peace with them too. because I know we're here for a great work. And I got to tell you, I do not wish I was born in a different time. I'm so uninterested in going back. I don't want to do anything again. I'm so uninterested in that. What I am interested in is the power that we have to harness the divine presence, and create a new pathway forward. And I believe I'm talking to some other people, even if it's only 2 or 3, who are also ready to do the same thing. Practicing love, joy, and peace every single day. Love, joy, and peace every single day. Raising the vibrational frequency of the planet. We're here for this. And that's why you feel the pressure right now, the contraction, because we're being pressed through the birth canal into a new existence. Holy presence, divine spirit, intelligent Holy Spirit. Sanctify our minds. Release us from the prison. Bring us into the full awareness of the abundance that's flowing all around us at all times. It's never in absence from us, but it's always present with us. Open up our eyes that we may see. Open up our eyes that we may see. Impress on our minds today that we stop looking for doors in front of us to open and instead be the opening for the flow of pure presence into the world. Thank you for giving us the keys to the kingdom. Whatever we bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever we loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. As we go forth out of this place today, we go with the blessing of this abundance and prosperity in our life. It's in the name and the nature of the indwelling presence I pray. And so it is. And so it is. I love you, family. I love you. Reverend Radiance, if you will come.